Hi, my name's Claire Scott. I'm one of the faculty managers for A-levels, and my particular specialism is English language. So this little video is all about English language and what we do in the 2 years that you'll be lucky enough to have me or another teacher teach you English language. So what's English language about? Well, it's very different from perhaps how you were taught at school. It's much more like linguistics. So we look at the science of language, if you like, the mechanics of it, yes. So we deal with a little bit of grammar as we go. Don't worry, I'll help you. We look at text analysis, so we look at various different texts. They could be articles, they could be actual real speech, so recording called transcript of actually what people are saying in real time, so what's and all their ums and ahs, everything. So we've got a selection of things that we look at. But more than that, we look at various topics that you won't have done at school. So things like gender and language. So there's a lot of theory about the fact that men speak in a certain way and women speak in a totally different way. Then there are some theories that say there is no difference. And then there are things in between. So we'll look at all of that and we'll discuss all of that. There's another whole topic about accent and dialect. So lots of different accents and dialects in the UK, and some of them are very popular and some of them are not popular at all. And we'll go into the wheres and whyfors about that. So that's two of the topics that we deal with in the first year. And then we also cover occupations and sexuality, and we look at what we call language levels. Now, there are lots of different aspects to language levels, but I'll give you one example. So there's something called phonology. So phonology is about sound. So you may have learnt it in terms of literary devices at GCSE, for example. So we've got sounds like alliteration, all right, where you've got consonants that are repeated in a phrase or a sentence, or perhaps in a poem or something, in order for it to sound like an internal rhyme. So phonology is that, but it's much more than that. Okay, so we'll explore all of these language levels, and that will help you to analyze language. Okay, so in the second year, we look at child language acquisition. So we go from 0, a baby, up to year 11, or age 11 rather. And we think about, and we again explore theories about how and why people learn the way they do. So is it through influence? Is it through something genetic? Those are the two main ones, nature and nurture, and we look at those. And the other major topic in the second year is language change. So how language has gone from being Anglo-Saxon to being influenced by French. Lots of changes, how it's always changing, how people always dislike change, or a lot of them do, and why that is. So all of those kinds of subjects we're exploring. So things that you wouldn't have considered before. And then on top of that, in the second year, you've got your coursework. So we encourage you to find your own investigation, your own data. Now, that sounds frightening, but it won't be, because I'll be there to help you. But things like, comparing perhaps two political speeches from a given time. Students recently have been doing comparing Mr. Trump, Donald Trump, to perhaps one of our English prime ministers of a comparable period. So, Theresa May, for example, or something like that. Or you might want to do adverts, or you might want to do information, or you might want to do people really speaking. So, as we discussed earlier, gender. So you might want a group of friends, record them. Do they follow any of these theories or not? So that kind of idea. And then a creative piece as well. And the coursework is 20% of the final grade. And obviously they're fully linear, like all the A-levels. So we have 2 exams right at the end of the second year and your coursework. So your coursework, you'd have your investigation, and you have your creative piece, and that's 20%. And then you have 2 exams, one primarily on text analysis and the other one primarily on the subjects and essays. But there's also a little bit of a creative piece, an opinion article on a linguistic topic as well. So that's A-level English language. Now, a lot of my students go on to do teaching because, especially the child language acquisition, it's really, really useful. Plus the grounding and understanding of grammar and everything like that makes it a really useful subject to have for teaching. But wider than that, it helps you in being able to write well yourself. So, for instance, the other A-levels like history and law and so on, if they're essay based, then English language really helps that strength. So most of my students, about 75%, go on to university, and they study a variety of subjects. So I've already hinted in education. Some of them do creative writing, and some of them specialise in other things. And then on top of that, we have students that then go on to do various careers, so journalism, civil service, dealing with media, that kind of thing. Okay. Now, I'd like you to kind of think, if you are keen about doing English language, to think about your own history, where you get the way you speak, where it comes from. So think about and try and plot this down like a spidergram if you can. Put yourself in the middle and then think about, have you moved around? So were you born, for example, as some of my students have been, in London or Liverpool or Birmingham or Scotland even, and then so you've moved down to here, maybe you've moved from abroad. Okay, so think about the influences of different places. Then think about your family. It may be, as it often is that your parents aren't from here. So it might be that your one of your parents comes from Scotland, one comes from Wales, or both of them come from the Midlands or something. So have you got influences of different accents? Okay. If you can, and you know your family tree, it might be possible to expand that and go to your grandparents as well. You know, where were they from? What accent do they have? Do you listen to them a lot? It might be that you're not putting so much family, but friends. So there's another group of, do you have friends that have a particular accent or way of speaking? So what I'd like you to do, if you're interested in doing English language, is to make a start by trying to plot where your language comes from. Okay. Good luck. I'm looking forward to seeing you in September when we start the new term.